I thought stockpiling money, getting a bigger, better job, getting my MBA, more education was the way to do it, because I come from a very humble middle class background. My father still does manual labor to this day in LA. Passive income wasn't something that was ever discussed. And I'll be candid, going to getting advanced education, they were just teaching me how to be an employee. They weren't teaching me how to be an investor. So I was in the Santa Monica library just perusing around, and the book just happened to jump out at me. And my goodness, the whole world opened up to me of, oh, I can have money come in when I'm in the hospital or when I'm traveling or when I'm sleeping, or regardless of any of that. That was the answer I was looking for that unlocked this freedom to be able to support myself.
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. Hey, you, welcome to Real Estate Breakthrough. This is Christina Suter, ChristinaSuter.com, and I have Amy Sylvis with me today. And I personally am excited to have her because I'm always excited about having every guest I have, because they have a reason and a purpose. Amy has an amazing background of what it truly, truly means to be dedicated to finding one's financial freedom while remaining in a humbleness of what one truly needs in order to be physically healthy, sound, and be financially successful while fulfilling one's purpose on this planet. And it's an amazing walk that she does every day of her life. I'm going to let her tell you about it. Amy, welcome to the show.
Oh, Christina, thank you so much for having me. This is really an honor. Thank you so much.
Tell us about your background, because I just highlighted the whole, part of your background isn't just real estate.
Yes. Yeah. So let's start with, my name is Amy Sylvis. I live out here in Pasadena, California, with my husband. I'm 42 years old. And I mention my age because I was born with a genetic illness called cystic fibrosis in 1981, where I was only supposed to live to be around 8 or 9 years old. So I am absolutely thrilled to be here. It's been a bit of a bumpy road, but gosh, all things happen for a purpose. And I'm just so excited with how it helped me on my journey to reach financial freedom, gave me a cause, gave me a purpose. And now I invest in large commercial real estate assets in emerging markets throughout the United States with my investor partners to generate passive income.
That's amazing. Let's dive a little deep. Thank you for bottom lining that so well, by the way. That's perfect. Let's dive a little bit into what it means when somebody, for me, I was ADHD and dyslexic. And my teacher, who I loved, who was my special ed teacher, who was fantastic, her name was Mrs. Bellman, and she was the only teacher I didn't throw a book at up until that point. So, because I'd gotten to that point.
I bet.
Right? But she said to my parents, well, Christina will never go to college. And then that lit up inside of me this sort of F you.
Yep.
Wait a minute. So, of course, I have a bachelor's degree and an associate's degree and a master's degree. So I definitely went through college. Yeah. But it was something I had to choose because I was told it was a no. And because it was difficult, it's more difficult for me to go to school than for a lot of other people. Even the other day, I was teased by somebody who said, this is why you never write. They were looking at something I wrote. And they're like, thank God you don't write for a living. I'm like, yeah, no SHIT, I don't write for a living because it's not my strength. But it's a constant dance. And so for you, it's the same. It's like, no, this, you're not going to live very long, enjoy the child while you have her, but then that sets up a mindset that you have to actively choose to believe something different. Now, whether you've been abused as a kid, whether you've been yelled at as a kid, whether you've been told you're an idiot as a kid, whether you've been held back as a kid, whatever your story is, that story is something that you can get over. And I think, Amy, your story is even more powerful than mine. I mean, I admit my story is complex, but yours is truly I'm choosing to live. Not I'm just choosing to be successful. I'm choosing to live. And I'm going to be successful. I'm not going to let this take my sense of life and purpose from me. That's a powerful statement.
My gosh, yeah, I definitely don't compare. Everyone's journey has its own unique struggles and upsides, right? So, yeah, it is not worth
Sure.
comparing on my end. And my light just went out. Darn it. But we'll keep recording. So, yes, it is pretty. I feel very grateful. There have been many people along this road, along my journey, that have decided to pour into me, support me, inspire me, believe in me. Because the truth is, my community, if I chose to kind of dig my teeth into the community that I was raised in, expectations were extremely low, and rightfully so. Being in and out of the hospital for weeks and weeks on end every year, battling virulent pneumonia, it's really hard to live a life and to plan and have expectations. So I feel very fortunate, and I love to be able to tell my story to encourage other people because goodness knows, as you just said, I'm not unique in having struggles in life. Everyone has something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we do. We do.
it's true.
What did it take for you, Amy, to choose a different life than the life that maybe your parents or your community thought you were destined for?
Well, the good news is my parents always believed in me, which, I really think I hit the jackpot there. I really believe that their assumption of, hey, you can go to an academically rigorous high school and college and get your graduate degree. We support you. We believe that you can do that and defy the odds, really gave me that mindset. But I think you and I are similar where, I was told that, oh, maybe your health is going to be in jeopardy if you just decide to go after this. And I thought, I don't think this is an either or. I think it's an and. I think I can keep myself healthy and I think I can pursue my
Amen.
dreams. Yeah, it may look differently. It may take me 10 years to get into real estate like it did for me. That's not typical of everyone. But you better believe that I want to live the life that I want on my terms. So, what's the alternative? To just sit back and say, this is it. I don't know what that is. It is just not possible for me. So I'm going to take 10 full years and work through COVID, even though I've got a lung condition, and find a way to preserve my health and still reach the goals that I'm interested in reaching.
That makes sense physically.
Mm.
Let's talk about emotionally,
Yes.
emotionally and mentally.
Yes.
What is it that you either did or are still doing to line yourself up for success every day?
Gosh, well, I mean, just this morning, I'm a big subscriber to Hal Elrod's Savers. If you all haven't read The Miracle Morning, working on my mind, yeah, is a big deal. So Savers is an acronym for silence, aka meditation or prayer. A is for affirmations, saying what I choose to believe about myself. V is for visualization. E for exercise. R for reading. S for scribing, where I do my gratitude journal. So much of our success in life, however you choose to define it, is based on our mindset. I mean, it is, I was not a believer in this, several years ago, I have to admit, but choosing every morning to work on my mindset, my heart set, my soul set, and really deal with my emotions, because it's not an easy business, right? But if I set myself up in that way intentionally, it's extremely helpful. And then also, I was plopped in therapy when I was really young. In the 80s, that wasn't really a thing, but gosh, I mean, what a great thing to be able to, like you said, talk about and deal with these complex emotions that we're not born understanding how to handle these things. So I think that was a game changer as well.
So we get a sense for your background, we get a sense for your history and the choices that you've made and still make today. Tell me why, or the moment in which you chose to use real estate to break through to your financial freedom. What was that moment or the reasons why?
Yeah, the moment was when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, that purple book that I think many people have heard of. But that was really the culmination of truly several decades worth of how am I going to figure out how to pay my bills as an adult woman, being in and out of the hospital, again, several weeks a year, and holding down a job and doing 3-4 hours of breathing treatments every day. The math wasn't mathing, as the millennials say. I could not figure out how I was going to be able to earn this money by trading my time for it. So I thought stockpiling money, getting a bigger, better job, getting my MBA, more education was the way to do it, because I come from a very humble middle class background. My father still does manual labor to this day in LA. Passive income wasn't something that was ever discussed. And I'll be candid, going to getting advanced education, they were just teaching me how to be an employee. They weren't teaching me how to be an investor. So I was in the Santa Monica library just perusing around, and the book just happened to jump out at me. And my goodness, the whole world opened up to me of, oh, I can have money come in when I'm in the hospital or when I'm traveling or when I'm sleeping, or regardless of any of that. That was the answer I was looking for that unlocked this freedom to be able to support myself.
So tell me a little bit, like, your history is so rich. What is it from your history that really actually has prepared you or serves you today in your success?
I love that. I am a really big data nerd. So aside from the mindset, aside from this tenacity of, no, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. And still saying, well, okay, I'm going to figure out a way. Cystic fibrosis, for anyone who isn't familiar with it, is a pretty complex illness of, lung issues and digestive issues and diabetes and all this stuff. And I figured out a way to feel like I had control was to follow data, to track it, to understand how it worked, to be able to learn how to read medical journals. My physicians are incredible, but they don't know everything. And I have the capacity, thanks to the internet, to be able to teach myself and find other ways within conventional medicine, sometimes unconventional, to help improve my health. So applying that research background with that tenacity, I think has really helped me in the real estate industry, because as you and I were talking about, there's a lot of data research that you can do in real estate that can really set you and your investors up for great success if you understand how to source it and interpret it and track it.
Let's stay with that.
Yeah.
So data research and being able to work hard to get that data is what you're telling
Yes,
me.
ma'am.
And I'm a great believer of the same thing with the ADHD and dyslexia. And yeah, high school was harder for me. I put more hours into homework. I put more hours into getting work done. I spent more time stressing about things. But in the end result, now that I know how to not stress, I still know how to work really hard.
Yes.
I know how to work I know how to work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night and not be in pain about that.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying I'm suggesting people should do that, but when I choose a day like that, I can choose a day like that. I can almost be joyful about it. Yeah, great. People are like, Christina, you're going to go give a speech on your birthday. And I'm like, yes, isn't that perfect? I am fulfilling my life's purpose on my birthday. Yes.
That. Oh, I love that.
Wow. Let's dig in and say, it was a choosing.
Yes.
And I suspect it's the same for you. It's a choosing.
Oh, yeah.
I choose into my life and I choose my success, and I really choose it because I know what it meant when I wasn't choosing it. And I know what the depression means, and I know what the mindset looks like, and I know what it feels like to not choose into one's living.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know the value of choosing. I'm freaking on the court. That's right. I am living this life, baby. And nobody's going to take that from me or ever tell me I can't.
Wow.
Because they tried to tell me I couldn't.
Right.
And I believed them. And then when I stopped believing them and I chose living, now that's joy.
Wow.
Sorry.
Powerful. No, sorry. Are you kidding? That's a mic drop moment. You're so impressive, Christina. My gosh.
Well, you have the same. That's why it's easy to say to you. You have the same. There wasn't I'm going to believe all the doctors. I'm not going to believe. There was a point. There may have been a point where you believed them, but there was a point where you stopped believing them.
Yeah.
You remember that point. I can see it on your face. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. Bring it.
Yeah. Well, I think they're doing I choose to believe that they were doing the best that they could with the knowledge that they had. Right. Yeah. But thankfully, I tell this to people all the time of people ask me, hey, how do I change my mindset? You got to get yourself into community. And that was big for me too. I found other people with my illness that were saying, no, these are the other levers you can pull. Maybe your doctors aren't telling you about them, but this is possible. And I get goosebumps just talking about it. I can feel them on my arms of, oh my gosh, okay, there's a way to think about this differently. And it's the same you can apply this to any part of your life, right? And I just love that you say that it is a choice, because to your point, I actually had a conversation with a friend this past weekend who's like, Amy, I'm kind of concerned with how much you're working. Are you doing all right? I'm like, no, I love this. There was a time I was medically disabled and I wasn't physically able to work. My brain is set up for this. I enjoy this. My brain and my body, I like to joke, are not always connected, right? Because my brain just loves this. I love knowing that I'm helping my residents. I'm helping my investors. I'm feeding this analytical brain that's really excited to learn information and data. So it is a choice. And it was helping to explain to someone who has lived a life where working and doing whatever for money hasn't been a choice, right? It's just like, hey, you have to do that. Of saying, no, this is a choice I'm making. I didn't have to get off of disability. I could have been on disability till I was 65, easily.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put anyone down who does that. Everyone is different, but no, what you are doing and what I am doing, it's a choice and we love it, which is such a blessing.
I have a client who's legally deaf, and for the longest time, but she's a consultant. She talks on the phone. And so she's legally deaf. And when I first started working with her, which was when I used to be a small business management consultant, but I still work with her, even though now I am a real estate investment advisor and I'm opening up a small family office with assets under management. I still work with her 20 years later.
Wow.
She's still my client, because when I first started working with her, the way she earned money was that she was on disability, and then she would work with a certain number of clients. She had a friend who would sign for her, so she could, because she got deaf at 17. So her friend would sign for her what the person was saying on the phone, and then she would respond through the phone. So, and now technology's gotten to the point where they're able to get into her head well enough that she can now hear on the phone with all the right equipment. She's got to hook everything up, but she can now hear on the phone well enough with enough amplification.
Yeah. Wow.
Whatever the right word is. And it's amazing to me the journey we went through, or I went through with her, from getting from needing to be on Social Security, SSI, needing to be on that, to no, I choose not to be on that. I choose to fulfill all this amazing capacity that I have, and not let that fear, not let that limitation, not let that box that I've gotten cozy inside of be the thing that I'm going to live for the next 50 freaking years of my life. Wow. I'm going to choose something else. And it is a journey. And so again, for anybody who's listening and you're in that box, that I'm cozy inside of my little box, we're not saying it's easy. We're just saying it's completely possible. And maybe it takes 10 years. And that's fine. Yep. That's totally fine. That if it takes 10 years, great. But because then your insides know that you're going somewhere. The moment you choose that you're going somewhere is your moment of freedom. It's not 10 years from now. It's the moment you make the choice and you frickin' line up for it. There's your freedom. Everything else is just the joy of making it real.
Wow. Joy,
struggle, pain, grace, excitement, fear. But at least you're in it. You're living it.
Wow.
All right. Amazing. Well, thank you for listening. All right. So now that you have a company of your very own, tell us about your company and what the secret sauce of your company is. And I think I know what your secret sauce is, because it's come right out of your quote unquote disability. Is your secret sauce? But why don't you tell us?
I think if I could be so bold, I think we have several secret sauces. But yes, I think, sure, like you, I've been in a place where I have not necessarily been mainstream or done kind of what my peers were doing at the same rate and all of that. It's given me such a deep appreciation for everyone's individual journey. So as we buy large commercial real estate assets in these great markets throughout the United States and invite folks to invest alongside of us, the folks that invest with me aren't just numbers on a piece of paper or a certain amount of money. These are people with goals. They've worked really hard. They have dreams. I want to be a part of that. Again, getting the goosebumps. I want to be able to help them access an investment vehicle that they may not otherwise be able to access on their own. And again, it's just a vehicle, right? It's not an end all be all, but this is how folks may be able to play, or I can play a part in them realizing their financial dreams. So I think that empathy, my history of having a struggle, really allows me to connect with people and make decisions and have connections with folks that, regardless of where they are on their journey. I haven't just lived this amazingly successful life and then don't understand, when the person with Parkinson's disease that's desperately trying to figure out how he's going to make life work, says, "Hey, Amy, I feel like I'm lost." I don't have all the answers. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can sit with them in it. That means so much to be seen and heard. So I feel that's part of it. And the other part is this great market research that you and I discussed earlier, that I just investing in the right markets, real estate, right? Location, location, location. We understand and we dive really deep into finding these incredible markets throughout the US to invest in. And it helps us get where we're looking to go with our investments.
The research has got to be so helpful for you right now, because I personally think we're in a recession or heading into a recession based upon data. Now, recessions are always declared after they happen.
Yes. Yeah.
People are always like, why aren't they declaring a recession yet? I'm like, because they get declared later.
Yeah.
Because they look at data retrofitted, right? They retrofitted? No.
Retroactively.
Fine. Whatever the right word is, you probably know what it is, Amy. But they look at data behind and go, oh yeah, sure enough, this was when we had a negative quarter of GDP. Here's the second negative quarter of GDP. We have to have two of those to even be considered a quote unquote recession. Yes. So in order to have those two, we are now at the end of the recession in order to even be able to declare where the beginning was. Yes. Right? So let's not get bent around the axle about, well, they need to declare a recession for it to be a recession. No, they really don't. And they're really not going to.
Right.
Like logistically, physically in the data, they're not going to.
Yeah.
So let's not wait on that. Yeah. And let's have a conversation about, we're already moving into what I think is the beginning of the slide. Mm-hmm. And I think your industry in particular is the one that's going to see it this time around. But that doesn't mean something horrible. I still know a lot of people who are like, no, investing in multifamily is fantastic. So let's talk about what your industry is going through now, but also why moving forward might actually be a different, a good thing or a bad thing. I'll let you define it.
Sure.
I'm just asking the question. What's it going through now, and what do you think its future is?
Yeah, so I think if you're anywhere touching multifamily in any respect, you see that there were some folks that took out loans that were a little too aggressive, that were variable rate. And even the biggest experts, the biggest economists didn't expect the Fed to raise rates this fast and this high. So it's put some folks in distress. Now, is this 2008, catastrophic? No, not yet. Maybe it might be coming. I personally don't think it is, but there is some distress in the market that's giving some folks a need to sell. In fact, we're actually closing on a deal from a distressed seller this week in Dallas. So there is, real estate cycles, right? It just does, regardless of what causes it, what's happening in the economy. It is a cyclical market, and understanding the strategies that can produce success in each of the four phases of the real estate cycle can really set ourselves and our investors up to do quite well. So I don't know if that's what you were touching on, Christina, right now with what's going on in the industry, if there's another point you want me to cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was touching on, which is, it's hard because, well, it's hard or easy. It's hard because when the news on the street gets really bad is the time to invest. Or it's easy because when the news on the street gets really bad, that's your signal. It's time to invest. So it depends upon how you want to work with it. But it also is how much did you get caught?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the people who don't invest at the bottom of the cycle, the people who generally don't invest at the bottom of the cycle are the people who got caught because they're still reeling from having gotten caught in the cycle unintentionally. Yes. They're the ones selling, and they're the ones that are hurting, and they're the ones that are taking. Their investors are the ones that are taking the hits. And so they're hurting. And the right time to buy is in the next 6 months. I keep saying 6 to 18 months, but now I think I need to start saying, 4 to 16 months. because the Fed, I believe, has taken their pause, and it's 6 to 18 months after the top of the interest rate increasing in my little brain is my little buy window. Now I'm residential,
Yes.
primarily single family, but at the same time I've invested in multifamily many times.
Yeah.
But I watch mostly the residential single family market, and in the single family market we're not going to see much. It's in the multifamily market that the slide is now happening. I'm now having phone calls, and Jeremy Roll is as well, and other people I know who are in this industry that serve as a version of advisors or mentors in this industry, having phone calls with people about how do we solve Neil Bawa, or like, how do I solve this? I need to do a capital call. I had a syndication deal I'm invested in. I got an email last week. We're doing a capital call, and I'm like, good. Yay! I'm glad you're doing a capital call. Woohoo! But I'm a weird person. I've been investing for 35 years. I know the answer is a capital call.
Yes.
Right? So I'm excited because they're moving forward on something that could have been out of control. And I love their plan.
Perfectly well said.
I like their plan behind their capital call. So I'm like, yes, let's do
Brilliant.
it. Right? Let me put more money in there because it's going to protect the asset.
Yes.
Right? So, but other people who are newer to this, who are confused by this, who feel like real estate was supposed to be safer than stocks. That's what I was told. That's what I was sold. No. I've looked at real estate. I've looked at stocks, and I've looked at gold and Bitcoin. And I'm not invested in Bitcoin, but I've looked at these three in particular, and every single one of them is cyclical. Yeah. Bonds are cyclical. Stocks are cyclical. Real estate is cyclical. Gold, right?
Yeah.
Gold, the story of it always holds value for forever, right? Is cyclical. So it's all cyclical. So if you're going to be a professional investor, you really want to be able to choose what it means to be a professional investor. Just to sit with that it breathes in and breathes out. The waves come in and the waves go out. Surfers don't get mad about the waves coming in and going out. The surfers ride the wave, baby.
That's it. Spoken like a true Los Angeles lady. I love it.
Yeah, it's true enough. You're right. So your company seems to be set up to manage this upcoming recession by using data, and you're looking to. So tell me about your plans moving forward in using this to help your company.
Sure. Yeah, helping our company, helping our investors, and helping our residents, right? Because I love to tell people there is no one United States real estate market. It's true, there are macro trends. Without question, there absolutely are. But where you and I are in Los Angeles, there aren't the same economic forces as Dallas, Texas, or North Alabama, like Huntsville, or Evansville, Indiana.
It's Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville, exactly. Different net migration, different household formation, different unemployment rate, new jobs, all of laws. It's all very different. And that doesn't mean you ignore the macroeconomic trends, by no means. But if we hone down and we understand which markets are going historically have done better and what made them do better during times of recession, we can predict, not 100%, but very accurately, which markets will do better. And the truth is, back to the macroeconomic trends, it's very hard to buy a home right now, right? Historically low interest rates, the previous several years, Christina's nodding her head. People see those historically low rates as an asset. They're not moving as much. They'll add on, maybe they'll move and they'll rent out the home instead of selling it. So where do all these people, the millennials, the largest demographic cohort in our country's history, where are they going to go? Well, they're going to rent. Some of them are going to rent by choice. So how can we understand these trends, couple it with our market research, and serve, because that's what an entrepreneur, that's what an investor is. How can we serve the residents that we're looking to serve? So we buy Class B plus type assets, meaning, these aren't the brand spanking new top of the market, but these aren't the, 60, 70-year-old assets either. It's a nice cushion in the middle where folks can still afford even during a recession, and some even choose to rent there.
Perfect. Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. All right. So I'd like to ask these two questions. Tell me about a deal that went wrong.
Yes.
Right? Actually, no, start with this one. Tell me about a deal that went right. Well, you can do either one. Tell me about a deal that went right or a deal that went wrong. But most importantly, tell me about how you set it up for success or how you fixed it.
Yes.
So start on either side. I don't care.
Yeah.
But do one of each.
So we've got a deal in Evansville, Indiana. Incredible market. Most people haven't heard of it. It's the third largest market third largest city in the great state of Indiana. Not sexy, but it's sexy to me who does market research. We have a bridge loan on it. Ooh, scary bridge loan. We got a rate cap, so we're not dealing with any of this craziness. Yeah, we saw this ahead of time 2 years ago. We're fine.
Thank God.
But here's the kicker. A lot of people get bridge loans because they can borrow the construction money from the lender at maybe 5, 6, 7%, as opposed to paying their investors 18, 19, 20%. Makes sense. It's actually good for the investors. Well, when you hike rates very high and very quickly, that puts some of these lenders in distress, and they're looking to protect their own balance sheet. So even though we're in perfectly good standing with the lender, everything we're doing is great, they're slow paying our construction loan. And that means our business plan, which is to take these gorgeous 1980s assets, renovate them to a B+, A- type renovation that doesn't exist anywhere in the market. The market has solid C assets and brand spanking new A+ assets. So we're going to fulfill this need. It's taking a lot longer to do that because the lender's like, yeah, we'll pay you in a few weeks, in a few months. It's been tough and we don't really have much recourse. We just have to roll with it. And that,
I can't afford that.
So that means we're taking longer to pay our investors, right? They're not happy. They want their cash flow. They think maybe something catastrophic is going on with the project. It's not. It's fantastic. The units we have that are renovated, our existing residents want to move into them and pay $300 more a month because they can economically. They love the product. I mean, all the things look great except this lender. So what are we going to do? Because we're not going to go to our investors with excuses. We can't really do all that much. So we've created a debt fund. There are a lot of folks right now that are looking to invest in, instead of on the equity side, on the debt side. So we took a while for us to brainstorm, figure out this structure. Yeah. I know you know the amazing Kim Wendland. She is my business partner at Quattro Capital on this project. And wow, people are so excited to invest in this debt fund. So we are supplementing the construction loan that we thought we were going to be able to get from our bridge lender with this debt fund. And we're able to move forward with these renovations, serve our residents, serve our investors, and it's going exceptionally well. So it's not a matter of if there are bumps in the road with these projects. It's just when they happen and what can we do creatively within the law, of course, and to serve our investors to get where we need to go.
I love your description. And again, it's just so about mindset for me, because that's one of my favorite words, of course, is mindset. But it's also a good example of a deal that's fixable. So I think, remember I said I've got an email about a capital call, and I'm like, yes, I'm looking forward to the capital call because I think their capital call will fix the problem. Yes. Because what we're having is a financing problem, not a real estate problem.
Yep.
Right? So what we're having is the buildings are working. The people still want to live there. Yes. We still have a housing shortage. Rents are still going to remain relatively strong. Even if they go down a little bit, they're not going to tank. No. Right? We still, all the stuff that's in the plan to be done to rehab a building or to add new value to it all still works in the rental market. What doesn't work is the financing and insurance being out of control. Yes. That's what doesn't work. Right? So if you can find a way to buffer the project on that side, then that works great.
Perfectly said.
That works great. I think there is an unusually high number of all cash home buyers these days because the interest rates are so high. So they're choosing, if they do choose to move, to just not get a loan. Yeah. They can't, if they can choose not to, they're just going to not do it. Right? Versus money's so cheap, let's all get loans. Right? So I think that's important because you talk about how that is working. I know Neil's doing something similar with one of his projects.
Yes, I've seen that.
Neil Bawa. So I think so therefore it's like, well, tell me about a deal that went wrong. And yes, you're finding a fix, which is your success story, which is your creativity. And it highlights what is it about this market that we truly need to be sensitive to.
Yes.
Right? And how you can take a deal and turn it around because there's an element that's out of control.
That's exactly
right. So tell me about a deal that went right, unless you want to use that same deal.
Gosh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's probably one of my best examples. We have another one in Clarksville, Tennessee, that we actually went full cycle on, so we no longer own it. But Clarksville,
Right.
Tennessee is about an hour northwest of Nashville, so not in actual Nashville proper, but we
Okay.
decided to go about 60 minutes outside of the area. And they don't have large apartment complexes. They have a series of six plexes, 10 plexes, 12 plexes, a bit more of a neighborhood feeling. So it was a scatter site purchase. But my gosh, was it such a swimming success? Because again, using this market research, we were able to see, oh, folks are starting to move out of Nashville because it's unaffordable into this other really great community where commuting is still possible. It's still in the great state of Tennessee. So no income tax. People are still able to stay there. And we were just able to really take properties that were tired and give them a little bit of life. Again, we weren't renovating to the full extent we possibly could because we understood the incomes of the area and all of that, but just create great value for the residents, create great value for the investors. We actually went full cycle in 17 months, which I know some
Wow.
people roll their eyes. They're like, oh my gosh, you're flipping. But our investors understand that we follow market trends and we knew the right time to sell because we understood these market trends and we were able to help them deploy their capital to another emerging market that we had identified to press and repeat. So, yeah, it was a great experience. I'll always have a fondness for that market, and our residents were extremely happy. So, that's the most important.
Beautiful. All right, Amy, what does financial freedom mean to you?
Oh, I'm going to steal the Dave Lindahl quote to be able to do what I want, where I want, when I want, with whomever I want, for however long I want. Um,
Yeah.
Being around like-minded people like you, Christina, that have this abundance mindset, that have this passion to empower others, to bring others on the journey. I mean, gosh, I think we've all, or maybe have been in corporate and you're forced to work with people that maybe don't have a great mindset or aren't going where you want to go. And yes, money is great. We need money to pay medical bills and housing and all that great stuff. But the fulfillment for me and financial freedom really is a pathway to be able to be around great minds like you and other people in our industry and spend time with family and just really build relationships. So that's what it is for me.
Thank you, Amy. So beautifully said.
Yeah.
So beautifully said. Amy, if people want to get a hold of you, they want to invest in your company, they want to know more about you and your great mind that you've been applying and your hard work, how do they do that?
So I post every single day on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, get in there, get on there. I try to add value with my posts every single day. You can reach out to me there. And then, of course, my company's website, sylviscapital.com. You can reach out to me there as well.
All right. So Sylvis is Sylvis.
Yes.
Just for those of us who are dyslexic and aren't good spellers, right?
Thank you. Yeah. It's
Sylvis Capital, Sylvis capital.com, and they can get a hold of you through there. Amy, thank you so very much for being on the show. So appreciate it. This is Christina Suter on Real Estate Breakthrough. So glad to have you guys here. You can find me on Roku TV, Roku TV, Amazon TV, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and a variety of other platforms. Super easy to find me. I'm also on all three social medias I like, which would be Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I am not on TikTok, but I am on Twitter. All right, guys, thank you so very much. Amy, stay on the show, please.
Thank you.